What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Chase, aka CR Media, as you guys know me. Sports Empire Network's residential professional wrestling guy and residential Kansas City Chiefs guy, if you didn't know. And I am here for the inaugural episode of One Arrowhead Drive. Because for those that know Kansas City and for those that know me and my good friend Ty here, One Arrowhead Drive is where my heart resides. So, Ty, how are you doing, sir?
Doing good, ready to get this started. Looking forward to doing this show with you every week, man. Let's do it.
Yes, I know. We talked about we talked about this a lot, man,
Yeah,
and
it took a while.
took a little while to get it going, man, but I'm glad we were able to. We've got a couple weeks here before the draft. Want to appreciate everybody joining with us. If you can, make sure you hit that like button, hit that share button, and if you're not already, make sure you hit the follow button and the notification bell so you never ever miss anything from myself, Ty, or Sports Empire Network. Key, appreciate Key joining in the chat.
What's
She
up,
says she
P?
loves the name. Appreciate it. Guys, if you haven't already, um, as a way to say thank you for all the support for myself and Sports Empire Network, Sports Empire Network is giving you $20 off your first purchase with SeatGeek.com. So go to SeatGeek.com, use the promo code down there at the bottom scrolling, SEN, to make sure you check that out. We greatly appreciate that. DJ Ant
What's up,
says,
DJ?
let's go. Appreciate DJ joining with us today. Yeah, man, we're going to talk Kansas City Chiefs. As I was telling Ty before we started the show, I like to consider this a soft launch.
Yep.
So we got the draft. The draft is a big deal, obviously, not only just in football, but for Kansas City, not just Kansas City Chiefs having the number 32 pick overall because we are the Super Bowl champions, but the draft will be here in Kansas City. So we thought, what a better time to soft launch this show, and then get us ready to get into the hard launch,
Yep.
which will be when football season begins. But man, I'll tell you what, Ty, I don't know about you, but it feels good. Feels
It
good being the
does.
champs.
It
Feels
feels
good
good
being the
every day.
champs.
Never a bad day when you're the champs.
That's right. So Ty, why don't before we begin and get into all this stuff, why don't you tell everybody what you got going on and where everybody can find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, so you can find me at the Sports Talk with T on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and then YouTube. And then also, I've been working with the Arrowhead Chief podcast for quite some time. You can find me over there on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff.
Fantastic. And guys, like I said, if you don't know, I am CR Media, CR Media 1988 on all forms of social media. You can find the link tree, both my link tree and Ty's link tree, in the description of the video. Make sure you go show some love. Also, show some love to our friends over at Sports Empire Network. Like I said, in Sports Empire Network is doing a lot of great things. We've been able to grow with them, and they've been able to help support us as well. So, like I said, I want to
What's
show them
up,
some love.
Chris?
Arrowhead Chief Podcast says, "Let's go, my guy Ty." There you go. There you go, man. I'll tell you what, man. I had a lot of, it's been out of the Chiefs game a little bit on the streaming side of things. It's been a little bit, maybe halfway through the season.
Yep.
Arrowhead Asylum folded. But man, I'll tell you what, when I shared that, I had a bunch of your Chiefs friends come through and share it. And I was like, there we go. There we
Yeah, they're
go.
excited for this, man.
Man, I'll tell you, there's no reason not to be excited.
Exactly.
So, Sports Empire Network, obviously this show is going to, tickle the fancy, if you will, of a lot of Chiefs fans. Sports Empire Network covers the whole landscape of sports. And there's different shows on there for different people, but I want, anybody who's watching on Sports Empire Network who's not familiar with Kansas City. So our Union Station downtown is where the draft will be held. And it's going to have quite the, they do the Chiefs parade outside Union Station. They're going to kind of do the same thing here with the draft. So it's, if you've seen a championship parade or pictures of the championship parade. And I'll have some footage and I'll have some draw outs next week when we do the show. You know, be a little bit more prepared to kind of give people who are
An
not
idea of what's coming.
of
Yeah.
what's going to look like. So, I don't know, man. You want to kick this off with how the season ended last year?
Yeah. Yeah. We can kick it off with that. I thought the season ended great. I mean,
obviously,
yeah, you win the Super Bowl,
my man.
Obviously down 10 at half.
Yeah.
Definitely was a stressful game.
It was extremely stressful. Would have liked to have seen it end a little better, but
yeah.
You know, obviously as a football fan, you're watching that game and it sucks to see it end on a play like that. And you know, it is what it is. As a Chiefs fan, obviously I was excited because I was like,
exactly.
Well, my team just won. So
that play was like way in the back of my head. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. So, what were your Ty? What were your expectations going into the season last year? And then talk about your expectations as the season went on, and then obviously how it ended up.
Yeah, my expectations going into the season was to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I wasn't buying the Tyreek Hill being traded hype. I figured, you still got Andy Reid, you still got Travis Kelce, you still got Mahomes. So I was not worried about that at all. My expectation was for them to get far in the playoffs, AFC Championship game, because it's the Arrowhead Invitational. Obviously, we got to live up to that name. And so that was my expectations. And then throughout the season, I really started to see it fold out, and I started to see that, okay, they can actually do it. They can get to the Super Bowl and win it, especially in some of those tough games where they were down and they fought to come back. So they lived up to my expectations last year. And I think my expectations for next year is going to be the same. When you have Patrick Mahomes, your expectation every year is to be deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, my expectations going into the season were, it was going to be competitive. Yep. You go back to the beginning of the season last year before it began. The AFC West was supposed to be the hardest division in the NFL. Devontae Adams to the Raiders, and the Raiders had a decent defense. Denver swooped up Russell Wilson. Yep. They got Jerry Jeudy over there.
The Chargers made a bunch of moves. Khalil Mack.
The Chargers made a bunch of moves, and the Chargers were already a really good team. And so going into the season, it was like, I never go into the season and I'm never like, oh yeah, it's Super Bowl. I've been a Chiefs fan my entire life. So I don't want to hear anybody be like, oh, well, you're not a real fan. It's just realistically, I never went into the season. And that's right, they all failed. Yeah. Freddie knows. Appreciate Freddie joining in.
What's up, Freddie?
Check out Freddie's Facts on Sports Empire Network, our mother network here. Make sure you go give Freddie a follow. But going into the season, it was never like, oh yeah, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. But I thought, okay, in order for the Chiefs to continue doing what they've done, and that is winning the division and making it into the playoffs, it's going to be a little bit of a difficult road because you've got Josh Allen, because you've got Joe Burrow, because you've got the AFC West loaded up how it was. And then as we saw and the season went through, it was like, this is crazy. Not just that. I mean, guys, we're forgetting about the biggest thing, the loss of Tyreek Hill.
Exactly.
It was just there was a lot of different expectations at the beginning of the season, and then you get halfway through, and it's like this team's not missing a beat.
Exactly.
And
it looked a little different. The attack did, but nothing changed.
And so it's like this team's not missing a beat. Yes, you took the big play away from Kansas City, which sucked, because it was, but as you mentioned, when you were talking, as long as you've got number 15 under the helm, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL right now, your chances of winning those games are pretty big. So, and then I don't know, man, I was a little skeptical at first. I'm a pessimist, man. I'm always a glass half empty kind of guy. Especially when it comes to football. When it comes to football, when it comes to the Chiefs, like I grew up, watching from a very young age, watching Joe Montana come so close to taking Kansas City to the Super Bowl and then losing. And then the Dark Ages, Elvis Gerbach, Rich Gannon, Brody Croyle, Damian Heward, Tyler Thigpen, of course, like some good years with, Tony Gonzalez and Trent Green and stuff like that.
Bruce Holmes and
but I mean, then you've got the other years with Matt Castle, Todd Haley, all that stuff. So like, I'm just used to being a glass half empty type of guy. And when I found out at first that we were facing Cincinnati and Cincinnati had our number, no matter what, it just felt like Cincinnati just had their finger
advantage
on the Chiefs. And then we get to that game, man. We went to the AFC Championship game. I went big in that game, man. I bought me and my son Community America suite tickets. And I was like, I told the little guy, I said, hey, man, win or lose, man, like it's been a great season.
Yeah.
Nobody expected us to be here. That's why I love it when people are like, oh, stop with the Chiefs or the underdog thing.
Yeah.
I get so frustrated when people are like, stop acting like the Chiefs were the underdogs. They weren't.
They were, but they were.
I'm pretty sure there was a lot of experts and analysts who picked the Chiefs not to win the division,
not even to make the playoffs.
There was now the playoffs one. I'll pump the brakes on the playoffs one. There was maybe
like
a handful.
Yeah,
there was a handful of doofuses out there that were like, oh, the Chiefs won't make the playoffs. But I mean, like, as far as making the division and making it deep in the playoffs, there was not a lot of people who expected them to do that without Tyreek Hill, with a bad defense, all that stuff. One of the great things about these shows, guys, is you're going to know that I'm real big on I'm real big on community interaction. I love hearing what you guys have to say, as long as it's nothing stupid. But DJ Ant says storybook season ended where it all started. Beat the Cardinals in Arizona week 1, beat the Eagles in Arizona for the title. Couldn't be told any better. Love it. Freddie says no love to Alex Smith. Oh yeah, absolutely loved Alex Smith.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith was not a dark time in Kansas City.
He was a good time.
Yeah, we were starting to see some. We were starting to see some return on investment with Alex Smith, which was, we were starting to see some fruits of labor.
Exactly.
Alex Smith won us our first playoff game in 25 years.
We were starting to see that culture change when he got here.
Yep. Gene and Cool's thoughts. Yeah, there were some people who were a little upset about the thing. DJ says the analysts made them the underdogs. It's true. It's definitely true. So, Daniel Berry, he says, yo, appreciate Daniel Berry joining in. I did want to you're not a Lakers fan, are you?
No.
Okay.
Me and Freddie got this little in the group chat. We got a little debate going about the Lakers for the last, I don't know how long.
Yeah,
months.
I have not been watching basketball this season like I usually do. I have been keeping up on it. I think, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think they got a chance against the Grizzlies. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'll say that for Freddie, if he's still watching. He's
the Energizer Bunny, brother. He just doesn't stop going. He just doesn't stop going. I mean, it's weird, man. Like you talk about smelling salts, man. You put the playoffs. The playoffs are LeBron James's smelling salts.
Exactly.
He'll look dead all year long, man. But as soon as the playoffs get close, you put that smelling salt right under LeBron, and then he comes alive, man. So, we know that.
We know that.
Yeah. But so then obviously we get to the AFC Championship, and like I tell my son before we go in, I'm like, hey man, it's been a great year. Nobody expected this team to be here. I was like, let's just have fun. And man, as the game went on, and we're, obviously, like I was a little confident about like all that stuff, because of the trash talk, because of all that stuff. I was like, man, it's going way too one-sided here. Yeah, you're like, this isn't the same thing. Like this isn't last year
where they were the
year prior, where they were the underdogs, and Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy were arguing on the sideline, and this was different. This was Chris Jones who just
Yep.
he said, "Okay, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'll see you on the field." This was playoff Frank,
Yep.
and all that other stuff, man, and that game was something special. It was insane. It was a great game to go to. And then the Super Bowl, like I said, I enjoyed the Super Bowl really, really well. The two best teams in the NFL.
Yep.
I just wish that game would
Two
have
best
ended.
quarterbacks, arguably.
Oh yeah, two best quarterbacks in the NFL, arguably. Two best teams, two great coaches. Just gosh, man, I just wish it would have ended a little different, but that's okay. We still give them Bengals and that nasty.
I don't.
Do you follow Chiefs Kingdom memes?
Yeah. So yeah.
My dude never stops, which is funny. I'm gonna in the wrestling business we call it kayfabe. I'm gonna cut the kayfabe here. I don't know. I heard that Froz runs the Chiefs Kingdom memes group or page. He runs that page. So it's weird to see him tag or post something about Froz. So that's what I heard. I heard he runs that page. So it's always funny when he'll share something from himself, and I'm like, that's weird. But that was my outlook for the season. It's good to hear that yours was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
What about the pieces? Obviously, with football and it being a business, in a perfect world, I'd like to keep some of those guys forever.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. Like you go back and you watch the Super Bowl, Pete Schrager, who I love, he's on Good Morning Football. He used to be on Kay Adams used to be on Good Morning Football.
Yeah.
Kay Adams is from Kansas City, but she's not a huge Kansas City fan. So it was nice. It's nice to see Peter Schrager represent Chiefs Kingdom fairly well up there on NFL Network. And it's crazy because he caught Frank Clark at such an emotional moment.
Yeah, he did. He always does too.
He caught Frank Clark at such an emotional moment. And Frank is just broken down. And he's like, man, I'm not supposed to be here. He's not.
Yep.
Dude's got a felony. He was found with an assault rifle. He should be in prison. He was not supposed to be there. Myself and a lot of members of Chiefs Kingdom called him wasted money, and I retracted that statement in the first playoff game because I said against Jacksonville because I said regardless of what you think about the Frank Clark trade, number one, everybody was like, well, we paid him the same amount of money we were going to pay D Ford. Remind you, we weren't going to pay D Ford because D Ford cost us
a Super Bowl appearance.
I don't care what anybody says. You can't convince me any other way. D Ford was not welcome back here. We paid Frank Clark, and everybody kept calling Frank Clark a waste of money. I called Frank Clark a waste of money.
I did.
And then, like I said, I mentioned, I said I regret it, and I retracted my statement. I said I was wrong at the beginning of the playoffs when we beat Jacksonville. I said because Frank Clark is
different animal.
Is in the same. He's in the same conversation as Reggie White.
Yep.
That's
a Hall of Famer.
A Hall of Famer, one of the best defensive linemen in the history of the NFL. Shut your mouth. Don't talk about Frank Clark being a waste of money ever again. Because when it came time to put up or shut up,
he did. He put up.
And so, like I said, that emotional moment of catching him, and he's just, I mean, bro's balling, just crying and talking about, his perseverance, his struggle, his road to come back and whatnot. And it's cool, man. Like I said, in a perfect world, we'd love to see guys like that stay. I'd love to see Frank Clark retire as a Chief. I would have loved to have seen Eric Berry retire as a Chief, Jamal Charles retire Chief. Unfortunately, because football is a business and it just doesn't work out that way. Frank Clark leaves. He doesn't stay in Kansas City. We lost a few other pieces as well.
Yep, Juju's gone. There's
Juju's
a
gone.
chance Frank's back though, from what I'm hearing, because
I saw that.
Yeah.
I was going to hold off on that a little bit, but there is a possibility some of those that he could come back. Orlando Brown Jr.
Going to
Which
Cincinnati.
was,
That's probably the biggest one.
What are your thoughts on Brett Veach?
Yeah, so far I like what he's doing. I understand the Orlando Brown situation. He just really wasn't a good fit in this offense. If you really break down the tape and you look at it, he's more of a slow, stiffer, run blocking tackle. He struggles at getting out in space. He struggles at doing a lot of the stuff that we like to do very well, which is why they went after Jawan Taylor, who a lot more athletic. The footwork is definitely there. And now we're asking him to switch positions, obviously, from right tackle to left tackle, unless they draft the left tackle, which is still yet to be seen, obviously. But overall, I like what he's doing this offseason. I understand that, we got to, like you said, it's a business. Guys are going to leave. It's unfortunate it works out that way, but the only one question I probably have with him this offseason is the Juju Smith-Schuster contract for me. I thought we could have gave him that deal, and I didn't think it was a bad deal at all. I thought New England got a steal.
Yeah. It's funny. Arrowhead Chief Podcast says in Veach we trust. I absolutely believe that.
Yep.
There was a couple of things where I've been like, I know everybody's biggest harp on Brett Veach was, you took McCole Hardman and,
Clyde Edwards-Helaire and,
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You took, McCole Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, especially McCole Hardman because DK Metcalf was
right there.
No draft is going to be perfect. And, there's no way to
There's going to be misses.
Yeah, there's going to be misses. But look at what he has done. So for people who aren't, deep into Kansas City, like, you and I are, and some of the people in the chat, some of the people that, like our Sports Empire Network viewers.
Yeah.
Brett Veach came from Philadelphia with Andy Reid. Was not the general manager right away. It was John Dorsey, but Brett Veach was an assistant helping with scouting talent and doing other things within the facilities and within the organization. Brett Veach helped scout Patrick Mahomes. Brett Veach has done, great free agent pickups for us. Tyrann Mathieu
was a great pickup. Sammy Watkins.
Yeah. The Super Bowl 54, like I was talking about, both of those guys, DJ Ant just said it. Last year's rookie class absolutely flourished. I mean, it's nuts. So yes, again, like Arrowhead Chief Podcast said, in Veach we trust. Yes. Breland speaks.
Yeah, that was a bad one too.
That was poor guy. I feel like that AFC Championship against Tom Brady, where Breland, I don't remember if it was Breland or it was Chris Jones. One of the two got an outrageous,
I think it was Chris Jones,
ridiculous roughing the passer penalty against Tom Brady, and Breland went to sack Tom Brady, had him dead to rights. And he stalled because he was afraid he was going to get called for that.
Yeah.
And I think Tom either ran the ball in or was able to dump the pass off.
It was like a little underneath 5-yard pass.
Yeah. Because it was right there at the goal.
Julian Edelman, too. I remember it like it was yesterday. First down.
Yep.
Man, you got
it was a touchdown. I think it was a touchdown.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was in the red zone.
Yeah. But, some of those, it's crazy how, Bree let him go.
Yeah, he did.
He grabbed him or something. I don't remember what it was, but he either stopped and let him go or he grabbed him and let him go. It was something. But like Breland said, he was like, I was afraid I was going to get called for roughing the passer, so I eased up, and I was like,
that's the worst, ain't it?
yeah.
The Tom Brady always gets those calls though. So I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we forgive Veach for those bad picks.
2 rings,
Yeah.
will make you
2
forgive
rings,
yeah,
2 rings, and arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, arguably one of the best in the history. So obviously, yes, we forgive Veach for those couple of bad seeds that he's picked. So
yeah.
speaking of bad seeds and pickings and great picks, positions of need. Because what I want to do, Ty, is I would like to save our maybe a mock draft and maybe players to watch in the draft. We save for next week.
Yep.
This week, let's talk about positions of need, man. Give me your top 5 positions of need.
Yeah, so my top 5, I would start with the top number 1 being wide receiver for me. Most definitely, you need a wide receiver. Looking at this receiver room, it's a lot of unproven talent. Not that I'm not saying I don't trust these young guys. I think that they can absolutely flourish in this offense, but you got to throw in another wide receiver in there. Probably second's going to be D end or tackle for me. I would have those 2, second and third. And then outside of that, maybe another tight end. I mean, Travis Kelce's not getting any younger. I'm not sold on Noah Gray ever being a tight end 1. I think he'll always be a really good tight end 2. Jody Fortson, for whatever reason, has not gained Andy Reid's trust enough to get out on the field consistently. So maybe another tight end would be 4th. And then looking at it 5th, and I'm going to say this right now because Jerick McKinnon's not back on the roster, would probably be running back at 5th for me, because McKinnon's not signed back yet, and that's 9 receiving touchdowns last year, and 580 receiving yards that you have to replace with McKinnon. That's not easy to do coming out of the backfield. So I think ultimately you need to bring McKinnon back because you really can't replace his role this offseason.
Yeah. So I love all those picks. I agree we need a wideout, but in the first round, I don't think they go wide out. And I don't think they should. I think if you have like a slot receiver or like a really good exceptional player available at that 32 spot that you can't pass on, obviously you take him. But I would go edge rusher. If you look at this draft, which is crazy, which I love that we started doing this, or I love that we're going to start doing this show, because it has brought back my brother. I used to scout, which is stupid because like I should have got paid for how much I scout. Obviously, I didn't do it this way. I didn't do it that bad this year, but I have been looking at it, and this draft is so deep, pass rusher heavy, edge rusher heavy, that I think they have no choice. Because regardless of all the great things I talked about with Frank Clark earlier, and regardless of all the things that we talked about with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, this team did not pressure the quarterback during the season, during the regular season, as much as we would have liked. We were waiting for George Karlaftis to come into his own because he was a rookie.
Yeah, then when he did, we saw that tick up.
Frank Clark, like I said, playoff Frank all the way up here. Regular season Frank, not so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, nothing to get, like I said, I love Frank Clark, but regular season Frank was just, he wasn't on like playoff Frank was. They need somebody who's consistent all year round
throughout the season.
And I think you're going to get that with George Karlaftis.
Yeah.
But
you need something to complement that in a mini who they brought in.
Yep. And so that first round, I'd like to see them go edge rusher. And then I think linebacking core is great.
Yeah, it was
I think safeties. I think safety could use some work. Maybe you help out with that in the later rounds just to see if you can get somebody. Defensive backs. I think maybe there needs to be some depth there. But those early rounds, I agree with you. I think you go edge rusher, wide receiver, and maybe some offensive line help. So, Arrowhead
Yeah.
Chief Podcast says Chiefs were second in sacks last season, but I agree we still need an edge rusher. Yeah,
Yeah, we definitely do.
absolutely.
And I'm not mad at that too, because I feel like there's still some good receivers out there you can get in the second. Like somebody I'm
Absolutely.
really high on, a Josh Downs, could definitely be there in the second. You might have to trade up a few spots to get him, but you wouldn't have to give up anything too crazy because
Yeah.
it's a second round pick.
I think like in I obviously like I don't think they've done this on purpose or anything, but I think that Kansas City is proving that the Chiefs nor Patrick Mahomes need Travis Kelce, need Tyreek Hill, need. Don't get me wrong; those guys are nice, but Patrick Mahomes is showing like, hey, I can throw it to Juju Smith. I can score with Juju Smith-Schuster. I can score with Noah Gray, Jody Fortson.
Now you're
I can
hitting
score. Yeah,
McKinnon out the backfield.
it doesn't need to be an All-Pro. It doesn't need to be a Pro Bowler, and I can score with those guys, or I can score myself, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if I think it's weird because even like with the change of regimes in Kansas City, it's funny because Kansas City will always pick a running back. And maybe it's, I've just always focused on Kansas City. So maybe a lot of teams do that. Maybe a lot of teams always will pick up a running back in the draft. But man, I would love to see them not to select a running back at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at it either.
There's
no need.
There's no room back there, brother.
Yep.
Like
If you bring McKinnon back and then
you
Clyde's still on the roster.
Pacheco, is Roy Jones still on the roster?
Nope, I think he signed with Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, I just think that I think that backfield is full enough of talent that, maybe you could go sign a free agent, when it comes time to fill the roster. But I don't think that that's something that
is needed.
That's needed. Yeah, you got to have at least get one guy out there with
I
experience.
agree with that at the
Absolutely.
receiver. Because the thing with the offenses, and we've seen it last year, especially in that Cincy game, in the regular season, that first half of that Cincy game, when they were shutting Travis down, it was hard for our offense to get anything going at all. So I think the offense really revolves around, Travis, obviously, Travis and Mahomes. And when Travis is eliminated from a game, it's going to be a lot harder for this offense to get going, especially with this current receiving core that we have right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's, and what's crazy is Coach Dante. Appreciate Coach Dante joining in. But what's crazy is, like I said, when Travis Kelce was removed or blocked up, and you watch Mahomes cook, if you will, he'll open it up and it forces him to spread the ball out.
To
and
MVS
it's crazy
too.
Because it's beautiful when he spreads the ball out. It looks great, and I think that's something that you'd see. Arrowhead Chief Podcast says, I wouldn't mind getting a running back in the 6th or 7th round. Of course,
yeah,
I wouldn't mind getting a running back in the 6th or 7th round, because look what they did last year with the running back in the 6th or 7th round.
Exactly. I've never agreed with taking a running back high. So when you said that, not taking a running back at all, I agree with that. I would take one maybe in the later rounds.
Yeah.
Like a 6th or 7th round.
Yeah. If you've got a compensatory pick in the later, like 5th, 6th, or 7th round, fine. But it's just a position where it's like, man, we've seen there's a lot of talent back there. And I feel like I have to like say this before I'll say something, critical. But again, I'm a huge Chiefs fan, huge Andy Reid fan. But in my experience, Andy Reid has done not so good of a job of utilizing his running backs.
I agree.
So if you've got a roster of like 5 of them dudes, and they're all 5 talented,
they're all splitting time and nobody's getting,
and they're just not being utilized properly.
Right.
So why waste it? Keep 3. And
Pacheco,
move on.
number 1.
Yep. Pacheco number one. You bring back McKinnon.
Probably
Gore.
Clyde be
Yeah,
the third one.
if Gore's
Hangs around
healthy,
on the practice
he
squad,
can. Yeah,
maybe.
he can stay. I mean, like I said, it's just one of those things. As a Chiefs fan, I've just always been like last year. I'm like, man, we have so many running backs. Man, they're
We
not
never use them.
utilizing. They're not utilizing a lot of these running backs. Granted, Clyde was injured, but like
Ronald
Roy
Jones.
Jones, yeah, Ronald Jones had to get on social media and run his mouth to get a play.
Yeah,
And when he
to get a
did,
couple snaps.
yeah, to get a couple snaps. And when he did, like he blew off. So it's like,
yeah.
it's like, yo, our guy Ronald Jones here has the hot hand. Like, let's keep utilizing him. And they didn't. So it was like, okay, hey, that's all right. But that's why I'm a little reserved on, man, do we go sign another 5 running backs? Do we keep 2 of them on the practice squad and keep 3 of them on the roster? Like, if they're not going to be utilized, what's the point? So,
right. And that's why there's no point of drafting one in the first round. We already learned that lesson with CEH. There's no reason to take a running back that high.
No. Let me ask you this, and we'll kind of start winding this thing down a little bit. So, obviously, there's a coaching change.
Yeah.
It was very interesting to see it happen. The reason why is because if you'd have asked me at the beginning of the year, like obviously, or at the end of last year, and when I say last year, I mean 2022. At the end of the 2021-2022 season, when Veach and Mahomes got into that argument on the sideline, I thought, okay. Not Veach. When Bieniemy, when Bieniemy and Mahomes got into that argument on the sideline, if I thought, okay, Bieniemy probably won't return. He stayed. What were your thoughts on that departure, on Bieniemy leaving?
Yeah, and the thing you said about utilizing the running backs, the thing that worries me is Eric Bieniemy was a former running back, and we already were not really running the ball. And he was, I mean, I don't know if he was calling plays, Andy's calling plays. Well, I feel like we'll never really know who's calling plays over there. But either way, I feel like Eric Bieniemy had some influence in the running game, especially with Pacheco. And now you're bringing in a Matt Nagy, who's known to really air the ball out, except in Chicago, he really couldn't because obviously his quarterback was Mitch Trubisky. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the running game taking a step back, which we really can't afford to happen because it's not really great as it is.
Yeah. Well, I think, to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, I don't think it needed to be great.
No. It don't need to be great. We don't need it.
Back when you had a McCall Hardman, a Sammy Watkins, a Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, you didn't need to have a great running game. But I think it can be easily argued that the running game, that when the Chiefs utilized the running game a little bit more, it helped open up that offense. You go back and look at some of these games that they played.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That first drive out of the second half, they run the ball 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Set the tone.
Yeah, and it helped get them, going and helped change things up. You got a not a rookie coach, but a younger coach. I don't care about what the Chiefs got going on. The Birds were a year ahead of schedule. See you in the chip for the rematch. I'd love it. I'd love it. I'd love to see him go again in a rematch, and I'd love to see a different outcome, or like a different, for it to, obviously the Chiefs win. But I mean, not a different ending. You know what I mean? Because like I said, the one thing as a football fan, I was very upset with the way that game ended. As a Chiefs fan, obviously I didn't care. I was like,
yeah, exactly. You were still celebrating anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But the running game with the coaching change, with Eric Bieniemy being gone, what happened with Eric Bieniemy?
Yeah, why didn't he get a job? That's my biggest question.
I mean, I'm not going to debate that. I think that's a stupid. I think it's a stupid argument. I think Eric Bieniemy should have had a job.
Yep, I agree.
Doug Peterson got a job after 1 year with Andy Reid.
Matt Nagy
got a job at 1 year after with Andy Reid. Where was Eric Bieniemy's job? And you're telling me that there's not Ben McAdoo in New York deserved a job over Eric Bieniemy?
Urban Meyer in Jacksonville.
Like I said, let's stop before I get on the soapbox.
We both get on a rant.
But I mean, what happened as far as did Washington promise Eric Bieniemy the head coaching job when Ron Rivera left? Or if Ron Rivera leaves?
I mean, that's a good point. Or do you think maybe Andy Reid didn't really didn't give him like an extension? He just wanted him to move on elsewhere so he could get that head coaching job, maybe prove himself a little bit in Washington.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what the EB situation, because it's just strange to me that it kind of played out the way it did.
I don't know if I don't know what DJ Ant's like no comment is, but I've been very vocal on Sports Empire Network about why I think Eric Bieniemy didn't get a head coaching job. And that's, like I said, that's a different conversation for a different time. What I'm curious about right now is you've got an offensive coordinator who's taking you to, who's helped you go to 3 Super Bowls, 4 AFC championships. It's weird when somebody leaves
in the height of a dynasty
of like that for another offensive coordinator job. So, new ownership is a start in Washington, at least. Agreed. Yeah. But when he signed that contract with Washington, there wasn't new ownership,
and it was still unsure what was going on with Dan Snyder.
Because if you remember correctly, there's been a couple of times during this fiasco in Washington where Dan Snyder's been like, I'm not selling my team.
Yeah.
So Ron Rivera might get fired in the middle of the season.
That's true.
Could you imagine being a coordinator and going into an interview and them going, hey, the other guy might get fired in the middle of the season. So you might want to think about joining us. I don't know if that's
like the most enticing thing.
You know what I mean? Like,
hey, that's going to sell me on it. Like, I'll
like this ain't McDonald's. Like, I'm not trying to entice Eric Bieniemy coming in by saying, hey, be my assistant manager. And the other guy might get fired halfway through the year. That's different. It's not a team sport. We're not trying to win football games. If you go in and the general manager or the owner's like, hey, we might fire Ron Rivera. So if we do, by default, you'd finally get that head coaching job. It's weird.
It is.
Washington is a shit organization, in my opinion. It's a shit organization with shit ownership, with shit, just shit all around. Other than Ron Rivera, I like Ron Rivera as a person. I like him as a coach. So like I said, that's why that move was very head scratching to me. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, so I think it's just a chance for him to prove himself outside of the Andy Reid system. That's kind of been the knock on him throughout the hiring process to why he hasn't got a job, is because, well, either he's not calling plays or you got Chiefs fans blaming him for bad play calls. It's like, so it's a lot of smoke with the EB situation. I think this was a chance for him to prove himself outside of the Andy Reid system.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought about that myself, but I want to play devil's advocate with you. If that's what the NFL was doing, if the NFL was saying, yeah, we don't want to give Eric Bieniemy, or we're not going to give Eric Bieniemy a shot because he's under that Andy Reid, system. And maybe Eric Bieniemy is not as good as we all think he is, because he's under that Andy Reid system. What was the excuse for Doug Peterson?
No, I 100% agree with you. I think it's more of just an excuse from the teams or from the NFL standpoint. I'm 100% agree with you on that. Where was that excuse for other guys? You know, Matt Nagy's gotten a job. Doug Peterson, obviously, and he's gotten 2 jobs. He's a great coach, so I'm not trying to put a knock on Doug Peterson. But
Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, so
exactly.
So for them to for anybody to look at that situation and go, Eric Bieniemy isn't getting a job because Andy Reid does all the play calling and Andy Reid does all the work. Andy Reid did all the play calling and all the work when Doug Peterson was with us.
Yeah.
Andy Reid did all the play calling on the offense when Matt Nagy was with us. They drew up the plays, they ran the offense, but Andy Reid calls the plays. The situation is no different. I'm just having a really hard time wrapping my head around this whole, well, because like I said, not just you, I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm talking about just in general. I've had so many people go, well, you know, it's Andy Reid's system, so why would Eric Bieniemy get a job to prove himself? Or why did the other 2 guys get it? So, Washington absolutely has the pieces for EB to be successful. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I just, like, again, I'll say it, I don't understand in any world where you go from a dynasty, like you said, on the verge of a dynasty. I'll pump my brakes, and the verge of a dynasty. And then you say, yeah, I'm going to stop being an offensive coordinator here, and I'm going to go be an offensive coordinator there with a team that barely, I mean, could have made the playoffs, but they didn't. But are just not.
They just have kind of a bad quarterback situation.
Yeah.
That's my only problem with Washington right now.
Yeah. But I'm a huge EB fan. I hope
Me too.
You know, I know that LaShawn McCoy is not an EB fan. And you know, that's fine. Some players are like that, man. Some players are, you know, for those that live under a rock, LaShawn McCoy was very critical of EB. Because of EB's coaching style. And EB's coaching style, for those that don't know, if you've ever been to St. Joseph, Missouri in training camp, EB is very vocal to the players.
That's what I like about him.
He's a very rough, no BS type of coach. You know, we're not playing with kids here. You know, we're playing with grown men.
This isn't youth football.
Yes, this isn't youth football. If I heard my coach out there saying, you know, effing ass and you know, get your shit together and stuff like that to little kids, I'd maybe, you know,
be a
little bit, but you know, when you're out there with grown men making millions of dollars, I think it's perfectly fine for EB to be a little vocal.
Me too.
And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people didn't. Maybe that's the reason why. I don't know. But if you're an organization and you look at Eric Bieniemy's resume, there is nothing about Eric Bieniemy's resume that says
you shouldn't hire him.
You shouldn't hire him. So, like I said, I don't know how long I want to harp on this subject. I'm afraid, Ty, that if I stay on the subject too long, I will get on a soapbox. But it's we wish Eric Bieniemy the best.
Yeah.
It was lots of fun having him in Kansas City.
Great run.
You know, great run. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully he finds the success he's looking for in Washington. Are you a fan of Matt Nagy?
I'm on the fence with Nagy. I don't really have a problem with it because, you know, like we said, Andy Reid's calling plays. Nothing will change. I'm just worried about the running game maybe taking a little bit of a step back.
I think some things will change. But, you know, Arrowhead Chief Podcast says, well, there is Andy Reid Ron Rivera connection, so that might play a part of EB getting the Washington job. Maybe. I had this crazy conspiracy theory last year that Ron Rivera was trying to get fired. So the media made a big deal about Ron Rivera not knowing that he was in playoff contention.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like,
there's no way you don't know.
Yeah, like don't be stupid. Okay? Sometimes in media, people can get especially when stuff is pushed out in media, you can put on some blinders, some dummy blinders is what I like to call them. Where people are like, "Man, is that real? Did he really say that? Did he really mean that? Did he really do that?" And that was the thing with Ron Rivera last year with the whole playoff thing, where they were like, Ron Rivera doesn't know that the Commanders are still in playoff contention. You're an idiot. Yeah. Ron Rivera is well aware that he was, but Ron Rivera was playing stupid, and he was either playing stupid for the sake of that press conference, or he was playing stupid because he's trying to get fired. And if I worked for Dan Snyder, I would try and get fired too. Sorry. It's a mess. EB should be a head coach. Yeah, absolutely. EB should have been a head coach 5 consecutive AFC title appearances, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 of those wins. Am I missing something on the resume? No, you are not. You are not missing anything. LaShawn McCoy was mad because EB told him to hold the ball like a running back and not a loaf of bread, and he kept fumbling football. I'm telling you. I was so mad when Madden changed his animation to him running the football like that. Oh my God, I was so mad. I was like, I cut him on Madden. I was like, I'm not doing
cut him on Madden.
As soon as the update came out and I was playing franchise and he was running around with the ball like this, I said, nope, you're gone. That's a little bit too real for me. Yeah, that was a bad look for Rivera to not know it. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you can't convince me that Ron Rivera didn't know that.
There's no way.
No, not at all. Not at all. Let's a couple of situations we talked about, or we started to talk about. Obviously, huge Kansas City fans. Kansas City Royals are going on right now as we speak.
Unfortunately,
and they suck. Which is, it's all right. I'm not as bitter about it as I used to be because I watched them go to 2 World Series. Yep. And brother, I'm 34 years old, man. I graduated in 2006. In 2005 and 2006, there was jokes on there was jokes around town and within the news and all this other stuff. If the Royals were literally trying to compete for last place because they suck so bad in between 2005 and 2010, or maybe it was 2009. I can't remember which, but
it's in that time period.
Yeah. And it was crazy because you never ever thought they were going to be good ever. The Chiefs always gave you shred of hope, whether it was
rip your heart out.
Yeah. But I mean, the Royals just they didn't hide it.
Stuck.
Yeah, they didn't hide it. They were like, yeah, we suck, we know it, and get over it. Cool.
Here's $5 tickets.
Yeah. Here's the high V section.
Yeah.
Have fun. And you go back, and obviously this past year there was construction companies can present plans for stadiums for football teams as a way to say, hey, we'd love to build you a new stadium. What do you think? So the Chiefs got offered a plan over in the Legends on Kansas.
Right, that's fine with me.
I get it. So I'm on the Missouri side.
Yeah. We're the Missouri Tiger.
I know Ty is not a big Missouri fan. But would it be weird to watch Arrowhead close and for them to build a new stadium?
Yeah, it definitely would be weird. I mean, my whole life I never thought they would leave Arrowhead, so seeing them leave would be crazy for me. I mean, I honestly think they need to put a dome. If they are going to move, you got to get a dome, because that's the whole point of moving, is try to attract the Super Bowl here, and you can't do that in Kansas City in February
No.
without a roof. So
Yeah, no, that's not gonna
it
happen.
would definitely be weird though, and especially on the Kansas side, if they moved, out here, that wouldn't. I mean, I would be kind of shocked on it. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think it's them leveraging a little bit with the the voters, the taxpayers in Jackson County to say, look, if you don't give us what we want, we'll go get it elsewhere. It's
Yeah.
kind of a leverage play here, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking.
Yeah, I would be very upset if they moved and see he said I knew there was a reason why I liked Chase. Yeah.
He's a big Missouri guy too.
Well, it's I don't know about you, Ty, and that's fine, to each his own. But I grew up in Missouri. So it's always weird to me when I see guys that grew up in Missouri that are Kansas fans. And it's like, that's just weird. That's just a little weird. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to I'm Not Hating Podcast says, let's go Braves.
He's lucky. You got something to watch this summer while we're all catching up on our Netflix series.
That's right. Bobby Witt Jr. will be a Dodger in 2 years, unfortunately.
That's true.
I know this is One Arrowhead Drive, but Kauffman Stadium is at One Arrowhead Drive as well.
It is.
So, I want to just say this has always been funny to me that Zach Greinke whined and left Kansas City because he couldn't get any closing help. I don't know how old you are, Ty, but that was, when Greinke left, that was the big thing is he's like, if the Royals are going to rebuild and they're not going to give me closing help, then trade me. Then it's crazy that 10 years later, he comes back to Kansas City and he still can't get no closing help.
Exactly. He still can't get any run support at all either.
It's weird. Some things never change.
Yeah.
So DJ Ant had a question, and then we'll get close to closing this out. But he said, question on a scale of 1 to 10, likelihood DeAndre Hopkins becomes the Chief, 1 lowest, 10 highest.
I'm gonna go with the 4. Like someday, man, I'm like flip-flopping on this because some days I'll be like an 8. I'm like, he's coming. Yeah. And then other days I'm like a 2 or a 1. So I'm gonna just go in the middle. I'm gonna go with the 4. I just don't know if it happens because of the contract, the money situation. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to go out there and grab him. I mean, you could probably restructure his deal. You could probably get him for a 4th round pick, this and that. But I don't know, man. I'm not so sold on it anymore.
So Arrowhead Chief Podcast says he's a 6. You say a 4. I'm going to go right in the middle of you guys and say a 5. I want it to happen. I think it would be great. I think you could find a nice middle darling in the draft, like a 3rd round pick, maybe a 2nd round pick. You could find, pick the right guy, try again. I know because like they tried with Sky Moore, they tried with McCole Hardman, maybe try again with a 3rd round pick for wide receiver, and then go out and get DeAndre Hopkins, and then you've got your playmaker.
Yep.
So, and you've got a great supporting cast around him, and MVS, Sky Moore, Tony, yeah, all those guys around DeAndre. You've got a big, lengthy guy that can go up and get the ball. You've got a guy dominating down the middle with Kelsey, and then you've got speed with Tony. Yeah, with Tony, MVS, and all those other guys. So I want it to happen, but man, the money thing is just. If you said, Chase, do you think the Chiefs should spend money on DeAndre Hopkins, or do you think they should help beef up that offensive line? I'm going to go beef up the offensive line. I mean, there was a very scary incident last year with which we didn't even talk about.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain, and everybody's like, "Oh, he was faking it." Okay, cool. Maybe it wasn't as severe as
it initially looked.
Or maybe it wasn't as severe as other people's high ankle sprains, but I don't think Patrick Mahomes was out there faking a high ankle sprain.
No.
I think if Patrick Mahomes didn't have that high ankle sprain, I think some of those games would have gone a little bit different.
I think that Jaguars game's possibly a blowout because he was
Yeah.
dealing in that game. A little sidearm, little flick here or there, and then it just
that game was going to get nasty.
It was.
And then obviously, he goes out, he likes to stay in regardless. So when that high ankle sprain went out, I was like, yeah.
I was mad.
You've got
my heart was pounding.
Yeah, you've got an unproven guy coming in this year, who's going to be transitioning from right tackle to left tackle.
Yeah.
And there's just, other than Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith
and Tooney
there's not a lot of depth there. There's not a lot of the depth is not the word I'm looking for. There's not a lot of insurance there.
Right. If one of those guys goes down, then we're throwing an unproven guy in likely.
Yeah. And they're letting guys come and hurt my quarterback's ankle, and I'm not cool with that. So I like I said, I want, in a perfect world, I'd love to see DeAndre Hopkins be like, yo, I'll take a pay cut to go catch balls from Patrick Mahomes. I'll take a super pay cut. I'll get a team-friendly deal, go help Kansas City win a ring all day, brother. But I don't see that happening. I think rightfully so. I think D-Hop needs to worry about, he's got himself to take care of. And I just don't think that would work out. But so I'm going to stick with a 5.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I mean, I would love it. If it happened, I would be ecstatic. I mean, you would be too, no doubt.
Anytime players try to recruit other players, I'm always like, interesting. Like Le'Veon Bell, for example. Side note, Chad Henne will be missed. Yes, he will be.
Yeah.
Arrowhead Chief Podcast says, I like Sky. He will be better this year, but I agree with that. Get Cedric Tillman, A.T. Perry, or Jonathan Mingo. Yep.
Yeah. Those are some guys you can get in that third round.
Now, this is going to be extremely unpopular, but I think that in the offseason, I think you help Sky Moore solidify his spot as a slot receiver.
No, I agree with that. Yeah,
and a punt and kick returner.
You want him to be the punt returner?
I think for last year, I think they threw him in that spot, brother.
They did.
I think if you give him in a whole offseason and kind of help,
and plus
learn it and whatnot.
He really exercised some of them demons against Cincinnati.
Yeah,
and he was a huge part of us winning that game.
That's what I mean. Like if you give him an opportunity to do it, to kind of push him into that position in the offseason, I think he would be good at it. I just think that, I think last year we threw him into that position and, he's not used to catching sky balls. So, he made some mistakes. Give him a whole offseason this year and see what happens. But yeah.
Yeah, especially because, like I said, in that Bengals game, I mean, what did he have? Like a 30-something yard return, and we really needed it then. So, I could look past the Colts week 2 fumble.
Yeah.
for the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game.
He had a couple of flubs throughout the season, not just that week 2 Colts
fumble.
The
San Francisco game.
But you give him a whole offseason, and I think because here's the thing. Do you want Kadarius Toney back there?
No, I don't.
Or do you want Kadarius Toney out on the field making big plays?
Wide receiver, because he can't really stay healthy. You're playing with fire, putting him back there as punt returner.
Putting him back there as a punt returner when he's got 5 dudes coming full speed at him. Yeah, get Kadarius Toney off of that. He's got cheese string hamstrings. Like there's no reason why Kadarius Toney should be back there. Kadarius Toney should be beating. Kadarius Toney should be playing the Tyreek role. He should be going. He should be going across the middle, with Kelsey to defer either or he should be going deep down the field like Tyreek Hill did because he's got the speed to do so.
Yeah.
But yes, agree, DJ.
Yeah.
Sky Moore seemed like he was figuring his role
Right.
out in the
Exactly.
playoffs.
Yep.
Give him the offseason, let him go back there and do it again. You're gonna have a lot of Chiefs fans very upset because I'll tell you what, I had a couple of Chiefs fans in front of me at the AFC Championship, and one dude just went off. He was
Did he really?
screaming. He was like, "What are they doing? This is such bullshit. Why is Sky Moore back there?" And the Sky Moore darts off for that
Makes
big
that
run.
guy look foolish.
Yeah.
That guy was probably looking around after like,
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
He was, yeah. His friends were giving him stuff. They were like, what about that? And he was like, okay, one is cool. But yeah, Hunter Dillon, we appreciate you making it, sir. But yeah, man, I think this is going to be lots of fun, guys. Like I said, this was a soft launch.
Excited.
You're going to see some different stuff next week. And you're going to see a lot of different stuff when we hard launch the show. But for soft launch, we'll go next week, and then we'll go a couple weeks. We'll go a couple weeks after the draft, and then we'll take some time off, and then we'll hard launch once training camp and stuff goes up. Yeah, because if you want, brother, we can go to training camp and get some content. And,
yeah, most definitely, man. I think I'm looking at 2 weeks off in July, anyways. So that'd be.
I wish.
I have or a week or something like that. I got to look again.
But. Yeah, brother, I have maxed out my vacation time at work, which really sucks because I've got they're supposed to be giving me a new schedule because I told them I'm not deferring my season tickets this year.
Yeah, you're working Sundays.
Yeah.
Or you're not working Sundays, my bad.
Well, I'm working Sundays right now, but I told them, I was like, yo, you got until August to decide what you're doing. And I was like, because after August, I was like, I'm not, I pay really good money for my season tickets. I'm in section 124, 125, row 7. I got really good seats. There. So I paid really good money for my seats. And I'm not deferring my tickets this year because I'm going to my games. So anyway.
Exactly.
Different,
especially this year. There's a big man looking at the schedule. There's a lot of stacked home games.
Oh yeah, man. I just looked at the schedule earlier, or not the schedule, but I looked at the obviously the preview of the schedule.
Yeah, like the home games. It just tells you who you got at home. We got a lot of good home games this year. Ones I'm excited for.
Yes. Let's see. We've got Denver, Chargers, Raiders, obviously, Bills, Bengals, Dolphins, Bears, Lions, and then Eagles.
Yep.
Which is weird.
That Eagles, I feel like that Eagles should be the first night game because that
I'm very confused on why they just threw the Eagles in there like that. But
either way, for the opening night sake.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think they'll do that as the Thursday night game?
Yep. Open it up, especially after all the talk. I know Juju's gone, and he probably did most of the talking after the end of that game, but all the talking in between the players, which ultimately one ended up leaving. Darius Slay almost left. Billy ended up going back, but I think that's got to be the rematch, right? Or maybe it's Cincy. Like they could really go either way. It's just not going to be Detroit or Chicago. No disrespect to them, but that's not going to happen.
Oh, DJ said it's going to be the Dolphins.
I would like that.
Yeah,
especially Tyreek coming back to KC.
Running his mouth. We'll talk about that next week. Let's talk about that next week. We'll talk about Tyreek running his mouth. That he's going to throw out the peace sign in Arrowhead.
And Chris Jones said, he's not.
So let's talk about that next week. Let's talk about we'll talk about draft breakdowns.
Yeah,
we'll do a mock draft. We'll get everybody ready for the 2023 NFL draft live here in Kansas City. Ty, once again, I know you did it at the beginning of the show, but I want you to do it again. I want you to tell everybody where they can find you on social media, and what you've got going on as far as like shows and whatnot.
Yeah, so you can find me over at the Sports Talk with T on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, basically anywhere, any social media platform. I'll just upload videos. I don't really have like a set schedule as far as uploading on that because it'll just be after some news happens or whatever. But if you're looking for me consistently on Mondays for the past, since like last September, I've been on the Arrowhead Chief podcast pretty much every Monday, breaking down whatever's going on around the NFL or Chiefs at that time. And you can find that on Facebook, Twitter. You can find it on all social media platforms as well.
Fantastic. And then, my tag is right there at the name at CR Media 1988. Guys, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, all of the above. If you haven't already, make sure you hit Ty's link tree and you hit my link tree in the bio or in the description. Make sure you follow Ty and follow myself. And then also hit Sports Empire Network's link tree. Make sure you follow them. Sports Empire Network is covering everything sports. So it's not just Kansas City. It's not just football. It's not just basketball. It's everything. All of the above. In fact, we have a show tonight, the AEW Dynamite post show. If you are a professional wrestling fan, you come talk to me. If you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, you come talk to me and Ty. We will get you taken care of, especially for professional wrestling. I've got the Wednesday night Dynamite post show, which will be tonight after Dynamite. We go live about 15 minutes after Dynamite, break down the show, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. We also share the link so you can come onto the show and have your 15 minutes of fame and tell everybody what you liked and what you didn't like and whatnot. And then on Thursdays on my own channel, we have something called the I-70 Hot Tag. The I-70 Hot Tag covers specifically Kansas and Missouri independent wrestling. We sponsor shows. We go to live events. We always have a wrestler on doing the show with us, interviewing them. So check that out. I will not be wearing the WWE Kansas City Chiefs belt on that show tomorrow night. I'll be wearing this one.
That one. It
is our 1 year anniversary, guys, tomorrow night. So make sure you come check it out. We will be having Buff Bagwell. For those that are longtime wrestling fans, you will know who Buff Bagwell is. He is doing a fan fest in St. Louis. So we are going to have him on the show to talk about that. Make sure you come through, say what's up. And then, I think that should be it. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, me either, other than congratulations on your 1 year anniversary with your show.
I appreciate that, brother. We are having lots of fun. We're traveling. We're doing all types of crazy stuff. So I have been to St. Louis more times in the past year than I've ever been in my entire life. So it's been lots of fun. We do stuff here in Kansas City. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up in the future. Like I said, tomorrow night we're interviewing old WCW legend Buff Bagwell, and we're also going to announce a giveaway. I don't have a problem announcing it on this show if it will entice people to tune in tomorrow night. But we will be giving away a championship belt, just like the championship belt you see me holding, and that championship belt there. We are going to give away a championship belt. Tune into the show tomorrow night to find out what that is. And Saturday, the draft. So the draft will be Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night of next week. On Saturday, I will be at the season ticket holder party. If you are going to go Saturday, Ty, you or anybody watching, if you're going to go to that show on Saturday, make sure you message us. Let us know. Love to meet up with you. I'll buy you a beer. You'll always find me with a cold beer in my hand, no matter where I'm at in public. So come say what's up. Ty, you got anything else before we close out, man?
No, I think that covers it all up for this week. I'm just excited going forward with the show on the Sports Empire Network and, moving forward with Chase. I know we've worked in the past quite a few times actually now, so we're quite familiar with each other at this point. So I'm excited.
Yep. Just made sense when the Arkham Asylum, when it ended, it made a lot of sense for us to do something. And, we finally got it going. So
yeah, we launched. We're here.
So now we're in it to win it. So like I said, it's going to look a little different next week, but come back, join us Wednesday night, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be talking all things Kansas City Chiefs and anything else going on in the NFL that has to do with the Chiefs. Ty and I will be covering it for you and getting your opinions about it. So appreciate everybody joining with us today. Again, my name is Chase, CR Media. This is Ty, Sports Talk with Ty. We are live here on the Sports Empire Network. And as always, have a good night, everybody.
Yep.